Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Fire and Ice Report, where we're sitting out here with a little bit of snow. You know, things in life change quickly. Change real quickly. Friday, I was sitting out there at the fish pond, and it was about 68 degrees. 68 freaking degrees. Yesterday, it snowed like crazy. Today, about 40 degrees. Tomorrow, supposed to get up in the 60s again. Maybe by Tuesday, the fish will be swimming around. Things change quickly in life. They really change quickly. Michael Gallop has got his deal. He has got basically a 2-year deal. This is much like what they did with Amari Cooper, where Amari Cooper, you heard $100 million contract, but it was really $42 million guaranteed on it. And basically they could move on after 2 years. And that's in essence what Michael Gallup's contract is. Basically, I think it's going to be about a $5 million cap hit. So I think the Cowboys will have about $14 million to work with now. We do know that there's some teams interested in Lyle Collins that may give us $1.5 million of more cap room. We don't know if they're planning on doing any other restructuring. They've already done Dak Prescott. They've done Zach Martin. We've been told for a while that they were close on Michael Gallup's and they got together. Now, we heard there was communication between Jaron Kearse and the Dallas Cowboys, but we don't know. This is the thing that's crazy is the Cowboys forever have made contracts for guys after one good year. And it ends up being, usually, they don't pay off. The Cowboys have had a lot of bad contracts. I don't know if you guys realize this, because a lot of people will say, if we hadn't paid, that garbage-ass quarterback, we wouldn't be in this mess. But as I see the landscape of now, everybody trying to scramble around and find a quarterback, Tom Brady's coming back, so that saved Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was all in on trying to get him back to the point where somebody said, if you come back, I'll name my kid after you, and this, that, and the other. But there's a mad scramble for quarterbacks. And even the Minnesota Vikings realize the landscape is not good for quarterbacks. So, hey, let's give Kirk Cousins another $35 million guaranteed, which will bring his final total right now after this season and the guaranteed money he has to about $235 million for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins. I ain't mad at him, but he's probably starting his own bank at this point. Dude is literally just printing money. But, hey, can't be mad at a man making money. Can't be mad at a man making money. So, tomorrow begins free agency. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern time is when agents can start talking with players. And they've already been talking. The deals are already written up. You just need the players to say, yes, I'm going to go to bed early tonight because tomorrow's going to be a long day. I'm going to be here in the man cave ready to rock and roll, dudes. I am going to be live streaming starting at 12 o'clock, and I'm going to try and go all the way through. It's going to be a long mother humping day, but at least we can live vicariously through other teams making moves. The thing we have to watch is how many of the players that we have or had this year go on to other teams. See, Stephen Jones thinks, we did great. Our last year, we ended up getting bottom tier guys, and we ended up improving our defense. So we can draft some more players, and we can get some more of these bottom tier guys. But here's the fault in that logic. A guy like Keanu Neal, whoa, dudes, whoa. You're paying $2 million this year for him not to be on the team. You've taken not only the money in signing a guy. You know, you get a guy like Carlos Watkins, you get a guy like Brett Irving, you end up getting guys, like Jalen Kearse or Malik Hooker. You spend not only your money invested in these guys, you also invest your time in teaching them a system. And it takes time to get the nuances of a system. It's not so much that you are saving the money and just bringing in a guy and you can bring in another guy for the same money that can do the same kind of job. You're not really maximizing what your philosophy can do because you're constantly changing players. When you have a quarterback who constantly goes to different offenses, usually has problems because they don't get a chance to learn all the terminology. There's still little bits and pieces and stuff. You're only scratching the surface. And so for Carson Wentz to go from the Eagles to Frank Wright, at least a guy who knew his system, to now Washington, the learning curve is bad. It's why usually you'll see rookies start off kind of slow, but then you'll see some of them start to pick it up as the season goes on because they have a chance to start picking up what you're trying to do, which is different than what they've been taught. So right now, as we go through, Van Der Esch is gone. Jalen Smith, of course, is gone. Guys you started out last year. You got Jabril Cox, who's got a little bit behind him. You got Micah Parsons. But then you're going to bring in another linebacker, okay? You're going to bring in more defensive linemen to replace the Brett Irvins, the Carlos Watkins and things. You'll probably end up bringing in another cornerback. Well, now these are guys that have to get up to speed with all the other guys. Now, Dan Quinn did a masterful job of getting those guys up. But think about if you had gotten, instead of saying, let's pay these guys, let's say you had gotten a couple of guys that were really good. Now, we're going to keep Terrell Basham. He's still on the roster at the moment. One of the few free agents that we may keep. It may be that Jalen Kearse signs a bigger deal elsewhere. He says he wants to come back to Dallas, but, it's all about the money. Terrell Basham and I believe Jalen Kearse may be the only free agents that we signed last year that are coming back. Now, it may be that we end up re-signing them later on, that some of these guys don't find the grass greener on the other side, and we end up bringing it back at a lesser rate. They may end up doing something like that with Anthony Brown. Who knows? Who knows what the plan is? But we'll see if some of these guys get signed elsewhere. Again, Randy Gregory's not under contract. He can do like Amari Cooper did 2 years ago and test the free agent market. Maybe somebody comes through with a bigger contract and he goes. Maybe the same thing happens with Jalen Kearse. I don't know. What I want to know is, are we going to continue to do business the same way? That Stephen Jones is going to keep doing what he does, which is value picks. Well, I tell you, there's not a value in buying a piece of equipment that you got to turn around and replace every year. If you go buy a dishwasher and you have to buy a new one every year, you look at that and say, maybe I should buy a better one so I don't have to keep replacing it every year. Because now I got to bring the plumber in here and pay him to install it. So I got that cost and that time because I got to be here from work when he comes in. Same thing with players. You need to hire some guys that have some staying power more than one season, leaving behind just dead money. If you want to know where our financial problems go, or the reason why we have them, it's not that you haven't paid the good players and keeping them. No, it's paying the bad players and the value picks. As we sit here tonight, right now, 17 million of our cap will go to people who are no longer on the roster. Last year, as low as the cap was, 25 million went to dead money on the cap for guys who are no longer on the team. You want to know where our money went as much as you bitch and whine about Zeke Elliott and the fact that he's an $18 million cap hit? Well, guess what? Jalen Smith cost us almost 17 last year and this year. He's not on our team this year, y'all. He was only on our team last year for half of the year and is out of football at the moment. But yet, we had the audacity to sign him to a long-term deal that paid him before it was necessary. Don't blame the quarterback for the shortcomings. Don't blame the players for the shortcomings. Blame the front office that wasn't able to keep the good players and instead made poor decisions on injured players or guys past their prime or guys that just weren't primo players. Tomorrow, will the Dallas Cowboys try and make a move for Bobby Wagner? It's my contention and my belief that the Cowboys have more faith in Dan Quinn and give him more latitude in decision making. The Cowboys have done some things that they don't normally do since Dan Quinn's been there. The fact that we even called Bobby Wagner is a major improvement. We may not get him, but they never called other players about their interest with the Cowboys. They wouldn't even consider it. In the same way, when Dan Quinn came here with his philosophy on defense, having longer length guys, in fact, wanting a one technique nose tackle, for once they actually drafted one, be it late in the draft, not exactly the cream of the crop, but a guy that you can build and work with, in Quentin Bohannon. And I saw faith in him. Brother just needs to get lower. He's got the beef. He's got the strength. He's got to learn to stay lower. And this goes back to what I was telling you about written guys for 1 year. You need time to get the philosophy together. You need time to understand what the brother next to you is doing, what the guy on this side is doing, understanding what you got to do to protect the linebacker. It takes time to get this shit together. And the only way you get time is by getting guys that are primo players and can play. And Bobby Wagner, I know he's 32. I know that he's got less time in front of him than behind him. But see, beyond what he does as far as tackling, he's averaged over the last 6 or 7 years about 140 plus tackles a game. A season. That translates to about 8 to 9 tackles a game. Last year, it averaged 10 tackles a game. Beyond his play on the field, what you have here, gentlemen, is not a failure to communicate. What you actually have here, gentlemen, is a guy who can communicate what you are trying to do on this defense. You can have a field general, a future Hall of Famer who is there to mentor one of the best pieces that you picked up in a long time in Micah Parsons. He can pass the torch and the mantle of a great linebacker to that guy, as well as to Jabril Cox. If your philosophy is actually having some staying power and being able to draft the best player available, which I believe will end up being another wide receiver because that's what Cowboys do, that's a Dallas Cowboy thing, then you get a free agent like Micah Parsons, and you can say, we've got the middle of the field covered. You got D-Law. Even if you lose Randy Gregory, at least you got Micah Parsons on the outside. You got Neville Gallimore. You've got Tristan Hill. You've got maybe Terrell Basham. And maybe you get yourself a veteran, one technique run stopper. Because the offense is going to need this defense. And we're going to need this defense if we're going to try and make a playoff run. Now, already, since Tampa Bay has Tom Brady back, Adam Schefter's already saying that the Cowboys won't make the playoffs. I don't see how the hell that happens because I look at my division and I say, forget the Giants. I don't think the Redskins will do it. The Washington Commanders will do it with Carson Wentz. The Eagles, maybe. But as I look at the NFC South, Carolina's not going to do it. I don't believe the Saints are going to do it unless they get Deshaun Watson. Atlanta is not going to be one. Tampa Bay, yes, they're a playoff team. As I go to the NFC North, I see Green Bay doing what they do and making the playoffs, but I don't know that the Bears do, losing Khalil Mack, and I don't know that the Minnesota Vikings do with the new coach. So as I look at that, if I say the Eagles, the Cowboys, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay, sure, the Rams. Sure, 49ers or Cardinals. I don't think Seattle is. There you go. That's 6 teams. Still leaves one more spot. But anyway, all I can say is let the games begin. Tomorrow will determine if we're just going to continue going through silently in the night or if the Dallas Cowboys will make some noise in free agency. I wish I could tell you, but I have no idea. All right, good people. At least tomorrow will be a warmer day. Things change quickly in life. And life goes too fast. So make sure you guys tell somebody you love them. Because you might not get the chance. Thank you as always for listening. And God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. Now let me get my ass out of this cold before I get pneumonia.